Some of y'all want to know what I would insulate around this jam with. And you can see that's laying on the floor. It's called backer rod. And it's for filling large gaps and openings. This is 1/2 inch. They make it smaller and larger. And I'm going to show you how you push it in. And if you want to, you put your outside trim on. That way it'll stop against something. And what I did here is I put a piece in there at the top and I came down. Make sure I'm showing you that. Put it in there, pushed it in all the way, turned it, made a U-turn, and came right back up there and cut it off. Then I put one in here, and you can see it maybe back inside that little hole. And I've run it all the way down to this deadbolt. And now I'm running it back up. And all you have to do, I use the back end of one of these shims because it's about half the width of that and it won't tear anything. And you just push it in. And you push it right up in that little corner and then turn it over. Just make a U-turn. It's pretty slick. Now, since I have 2 screws holding in this deadbolt assembly, I'm going to clip that off and then run a piece up under it and fill in between those two and then fill into the floor and fill in across the top. That's all there is to it. Well, my son's down there helping me today and he just drilled a ton of holes through this plywood. We took that board and marked it at 13.5 inches, which will have the holes about 15 above the floor. And then the boxes will be centered about 18 above the floor. And he just did this all the way down to the end and all the way across there and all the way back over to that blue ladder.
I think you said plywood and 2x4.
And we haven't run the wire yet, but I'll run the wire into this box and then I will run the wire out of that box because it'll be live, a receptacle. And I'll run it up to this box, and that box will have wires mated up in the box and a cover over it. And then I will come out of there, and up here will be at the top of my loft, and I will hang a fluorescent light on each side, hopefully with a pull chain, or I'll run it through a switch on my workbench so I can turn on one or the other or both. And then this wire will continue all the way around through these holes to that box right there. So we'll have 3 outlets and a double 4-foot fluorescent light. Well, we're going to put the electric service box there, and I'll probably get the box and let somebody run the wire across the street to here. And that'll be a switch for the inside light up in the ceiling, the 8-foot fluorescent, and this will be a switch for the light outside of this door. And then we've got a switch right there that will run wire up to there to put an outside light that comes on, a security light comes on with movement. And then we've left a lot of wire to go into the box. I've got it going the direction that I want it to go. These little nylon holders keep it in the middle. Then we drilled this off all the way across, and these metal plates, you put those on right in the middle of the wire, and whether you put sheetrock up here, plywood, whatever, if you try to drive something through the like your finished wall and you decide to mount something and you run a screw or something in there to hit that metal plate and you realize you're at the power cord, and so you put one right on each 2x4, and if you put sheetrock or plywood, you will not notice that. It's not that big a plate, but you'll know. And then I've got an outlet there. We're going to put another, this wire here is not running these outlets, and we have an outlet there with another wire, and it'll come to that box, and this box, and the other box up there, and the wire that you see in place, it's going to get dark in this corner, comes around this corner, and goes into this outlet for the workbench. And that's a gang box to be able to jump the wire across here over to that box. And we have to use the gang box because we're also going to take power from here and run it up here to there, And that will be my closed outlet box for my two 4-foot over top the workbench fluorescent tube fixtures. And since you can run an outlet there, but you can only run one set of wires into it and another set of wires going to your next outlet, I can run the power line into this box and use a wire to go over and tie into that wire and the wire to the next box. And I like to solder them together, put a plastic electric nut on top the end of the wires, all separated, including the ground. And then you would tape them off so the wire kept, nut could never come off. And you put the remains in that box and put a cover on it. Because this will be live, an outlet is live all the time, unless you have one by a lamp or something that you might want to control differently. And then I'll have power up here, and I'm hoping to buy fluorescent lights with either a pull chain on them, or I'll run that wire to the lights and a wire to the bench and just have an on and off switch to turn the ones on over top. And we've also put in these hangers for 2x4s. You have 2 nails up here, 2 nails there, and we've got 6 of them on each side, and that'll stretch my 12-foot 2x4s when we cut them to length here. And the loft will sit on top of this board. And it'll sit on top of the 2x4s in these hangers. And for additional support, we'll come out here on the end 2x4 and attach 2 supports up there at the peak, one on each side of that piece of plywood bracing on each side. And with the load on the roof like that, you can't pull that down. That's the nice thing about a little truss roof. There's plenty of strength there. Now the board underneath it, see, it's just held on here with staples. There's no strength there, but the angle of that arch, those two are cut on an angle, and there's a lot of strength there. We've gone back and put 3 inch and 5/8 deck screws in each one of these reinforcing pieces of plywood. That way I know they'll never come loose. The staples can work loose over time. But that's what it is up to now. And it is 10 minutes to 6 on the East Coast. Monday the 24th. And we'll get the rest of the wiring done, put in the insulation, and then we'll put some of that plywood up against the wall back there and out this way on each side 4 feet. And I can make the other half of that bench and permanently install that bench to the 2x4s. Time to go up the country.